For those people who didn't and may not have heard our interview the last time, you are from Washington, D.C. originally, and you grew up there and actually attended an art school in Washington, D.C., the
Corcoran School of Art.
Corcoran School of Art. But you also had a career as a musician for a while. Yeah. And what made you finally decide on continuing in art rather than music?
Well, music didn't quite me as well as painting. Music, it was always stress and always conflict with the bass or with the drums, with the other instrument musicians. You know, go back during a break, they would go back in the kitchen and they would argue and
it's a collective art form.
Blame one another. But painting, it's quiet, it's solitude. I get to blame me.
Nobody else.
Nobody. And I like that.
Now, what was your art like when you first started? What kind of art did you?
It was realism. I was doing people, portraits, anything, animals, landscape. It was realism.
That time it gave you pleasure to do realistic drawings.
Well, it was a challenge. And I went to Corcoran School of Art. My art teacher told me, let's see if you can go further. And sure enough. So I haven't looked back since.
When people go to the exhibit, they will see some of your earlier drawings. So it's none of the early drawings.
None of the realism. None of the realism. They'll see the abstract started.
Abstract drawings. Yeah. And I want to tell people a little bit more. You were from Washington, D.C. You went to art school there, but you did meet up with a woman from Belgium, Suzanne Frederic, who is now a professor of biology here at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette, and you all married. And so you're living here in Louisiana. Fortunately for all of us, we get to see your artwork. And a couple years ago, you had a stroke and have continued working since then. How do you find that because when people go to the show, they're going to see things that are not realistic, very brightly colored. How did you go from the more realistic to what people will see?
Well, it was more like a sudden change. It was no gradual thing that happened. It was
realism was no longer a challenge, and it was.
I just dropped it, just like that. And I found I could create, in the true sense of the word. I could invent. I didn't have any restrictions. I didn't have any rules. I make my own rules. I break my own rules. And I prefer that. But you had it for must have a lot of courage with it. You must be very brave sometimes. Because the things you do, you're not supposed to do. And I managed to get away with it.
And what kinds of things did you do that you felt maybe you weren't supposed to do?
Well, mix hard form with very loose forms, which I do now. Mix them. You're not supposed. You're supposed to be hard form. You're supposed to be consistent. I mix them now, and it makes some people uneasy seeing those forms mixed like that. But for me, they work.
Well, there's an element, too. Perhaps some people are uneasy, but there's an element in your work that makes people very happy as well.
Well, yeah. It comes on to me. I feel good seeing people with a smile on their face. Because most good shows have long faces.
Very serious.
Yeah. And they're happier. I like that. To me, art should lift people up somehow at some point,
right,
and make them feel better.
Now, you were describing you mix hard forms and soft forms. Now on the radio we can't show pictures, we can't hold them up to show people. Perhaps you could describe one of your paintings that would give people a sense of what you mean by mixing hard forms and soft forms. And
so all the forms have hard mix, most of them. I have, I'm trying to think of a particular painting. So many things have it.
Well, there's one that's here on the invitation.
You will see a line run through the straight line. Out of all the loose forms, usually the straight line comes through the work. Sometimes crossways, sometimes it comes down from the top.
Doesn't let you just rest in the picture.
No. But I like that.
Right. And they are extremely colorful. Your paintings are very bright and colorful.
I want the color to have a kind of pureness to them. I don't want to tamper with the colors. I mean, like mixing them too well because it gets to be kind of unreal. The emotions is taken out of the word colors sometimes. I want the painting to have very strong emotions.
And what are the range of emotions that you put into your paintings?
Full range.
Full range of emotions.
Full range of emotions. And I don't hold back.
Can you tell us, again, we can't hold up the pictures on the radio, but can you tell us the titles of some of your paintings? They're very whimsical paintings.
Well, like one, I like his Dead String Bean. One is called I Am Not a Mockingbird.
I Am Not a Mockingbird.
Yeah. And the math teacher, one title is called What a Politician with a Lot of Wiggle Room.
With a lot of wiggle room. And there was one, and I think it appeared in the newspaper, the one about psychiatrist falling with dog.
Yeah. That was in Chapel Hill,
right.
North Carolina. I was at Duke University, so I had a show there.
So do you think of the idea like that and then paint from that, or do you paint and think of a title?
I paint and I study the painting, and the title comes to me after I've done the painting, and just by thinking, it comes to me.
Right. Seems like there's a lot of humor in it, also.
Yeah. Oh, it must. For me, it must be. If I can put him into it, I try. If I can't, I move to the next.
And you certainly do keep moving on to paintings. You know, if anyone saw the article in the newspaper, there's a picture in your studio with stacks and stacks of paintings. You work very hard.
Yeah. Well, I feel life is short, and I don't want to get to be a certain age and say I should have done this, I should have worked.
Right.
Yeah, I want to work hard and produce.
Right. And do you ever think about the effect on other people of your paintings, or is it just an expression of yourself, or do you think how this will affect people who view your paintings?
No, when I'm working, I don't enter my mind at all, because I don't interfere with my mind, interfere with the thoughts, interfere with the creative process, and I don't at all think about other people, because then I'll begin to restrain myself and try to. I wanted the creativity to flow.
Right.
And my ego gets in the way, telling me this is ridiculous. Do this. This shouldn't work.
You don't want your internal editor coming up.
No. So I have to just let the work tell me what to do.
And what medium do you use? Do you use watercolors, acrylic?
Right now I'm using acrylic, but I use all medium. Right now acrylic. Oils down here dry too slow. The humidity. And I work very, very, very fast, and I'm very prolific. I have a problem with trying to let the canvas dry. So for down here I use acrylic. And down the humidity is very, very.
So, in some ways, I guess the climate you live in does affect somewhat how you work, what you use to work with.
Me it do. Me it. I use oils if I was up north, around Washington. I think more than I do down here. Down here I use acrylic.
Acrylic is better for the South.
Yeah.
Very interesting.